I just appreciate everybody watching.
Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Live. This is Trap or Dive. Yes, sir. What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you watching, whenever you listening, all that good stuff. Welcome in to another episode, post-game episode of Trap or Dive podcast provided to you by 214 Media. I see everybody. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Okay, I see the chat cooking up a little bit. What's going on, JB? J. Tyler, Outlaw, I see you, man. He said JB checked in already, said Ron Rivera in that challenge. I thought he learned his lesson. You knew better than that. You knew better than that, JB. You shouldn't have did that. Jay Tyler, I got to give you your flowers, AJ. 25 is a hooper. We were actually just talking about this before we even started, Jay. We're going to talk about it. We can go ahead and start the show with that and then get into everything else. Because I tweeted this after the slot fade to Justin Jefferson. Ben St. Juste is having a day, and his day did not even end there. It kept going. Let me go ahead and catch up to the other comments right quick. Heineke cost us the game. We're going to talk about that, not necessarily Heineke in itself, but the overall reasoning, because there are several people who have different theories on why Washington lost, but in actuality, there were a multitude of things, and Heineke is definitely one of the reasons. Jay Tyler, someone please lose our red flag. For the love of God. Grandpa Ron is killing us with these challenges. Why challenge a call bootleg on fourth quarter. Okay, so as we know, everybody knows Washington loses, fall to 4-5, 20-17. Minnesota improves to a 7-1. Washington falls to 4-5. Fellas, let's go ahead and get the trivial topic out of the way. But a real topic. Benjamin St. Juste was traveling today against Justin Jefferson, and things didn't start off well for Ben St. Juste. Not that he was beat in coverage, that he was beat at the catch point a couple of times, and it really didn't hurt. It really didn't help Washington. Obviously, he ended up giving up a touchdown, but he battled back throughout the game. That was a really good thing to see. Matter of fact, let me bring the comment up. My bad. It was a really good thing to see from Ben St. Juste, a person who was going up against one of the better receivers in the NFL, and he had his moments, good and bad, but he battled back and forth. And I think that's the makings of a competitive cornerback, but somebody who has that resolve mentally that, hey, I don't care how many you get, I'm gonna make sure I get mine. And I think one of the bigger ones, the culmination of a good day for Ben St. Juste, is how he was able to get his hands in at the catch point towards the end of the first half, which resulted in Danny Johnson's first half interception. So we can start out with the trivial topic right now, fellas. First and foremost, how's everybody doing? But then secondly, your thoughts on what was a really big day for Benjamin St. Juste going up against Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, man. I mean, my day's cool. Or whatever. Now on the camera, missed the hair appointment, so I'm not about to get on here looking all wild and shit. But overall, man,
over there acting like a diva, bro. What's wrong with you, bro?
I know. We got a wide receiver on the show.
I am bourgeois. Bad bitch alert.
Go ahead, bro.
But yeah. I mean, Ben played a hell of a game, man. This is what you want to see out of, your young corner going against one of the top tier wide receivers in the league. Like I said last episode on Thursday, Ben is really playing in his rookie season because of last year with the concussions and missing a lot of games. It's really his rookie year, if you put it in perspective. And today he got to show his versatility playing outside slot, and also being to come off the blitz and make that sack on Kirk Cousins. Hope he would have had that pick six, to the crib, but unfortunately got a little too grabby. Him and Jefferson were grabby with each other, but they caught the last little bit of the shoulder pads. But overall, man, He had a hell of a game, and like I was saying to the guys before we came on here live, I want to see the all 22 of that last play down the sideline pass to Justin Jefferson, because the way that Ben played that, he was flat-footed, and it seemed as though he was expecting help over the top from his safety, which was Bobby McCain. I only seen the play once live, but hopefully in the all 22 we'll be able to see that a little bit better if he was expecting help there. But yeah, man, he did a good job. Defense held up. I think after maybe the first and second drive that Minnesota had of the game, Jack Del Rio realized that I need to start pressuring Kirk Cousins a bit more, because he was having all the time in the pocket to do whatever he wanted. And even some plays later on in the game, he had a lot of time. But once they started coming after him, it made it harder for their offense to get clicking and still have that rhythm that they had that first drive. Because that first drive, they was hitting everything. Like, it looked like it was about to be a long ass day for the defense the way they was moving that first drive. But they made an adjustment on the fly with that. I guess are we just doing defensive takes, or?
Well, I wanted to make sure that we got the BSJ comment out the way.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll let you flow with the rest.
No, Dre, you good. I want to make sure Dre got it on that, and then we can start with the defense for sure, because I think that's probably the biggest thing. I took some notes from circling back from our Thursday conversation, so that'll be a good place for us to start. But Dre, how you feeling? Thoughts on Benjamin St. Juste? This was a game that I ain't gonna lie to you all too. Just to put my ribbon on this thing. We don't have, like, since Josh Norman, and I'm not saying he did a great job at it. I'm just saying since Josh Norman, I don't think we had cornerbacks who traveled. So, like, the task that they put Benjamin St. Juste up for today was a really good thing, and I think he responded well. But Dre, floor is yours.
This actually, well, first off, I'm good. As I told you all pregame, it was a bittersweet moment. I wanted us to get the win. Like, I was really invested in this game. I was hoping we was going to come down with it. And it hurts. I mean, because, this game was a game that they had in the bag, I felt like. But, I had a good day as far as bets go. This is for me and Jamal, gamblers of the podcast. I told him I had a good day with that. So
then you going to tell me that Jacksonville after I told you my pain.
I ain't want to, look like I was bragging or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But but yeah, no. Benjamin St. Juste, like, it's funny because we group text and we talked before the game and stuff like that. And AJ had mentioned that he would like to. He had group texted us saying he would like to see BSJ play the ball better. But then I made it a point to mention, before we got on the show, I said I thought Ben St. Juste had a pretty goddamn good day. And I even thought, in my opinion, this is my opinion, I thought the pass interference call was ticky-tack. I really thought that, that pick six play, if they didn't call it, no one would have thought it was egregious if they didn't call it. But if they did call it, you could say, okay, I can see why they called it. But at the same time, I thought that was one of those ones that you usually can kind of get away with in this league. It wasn't, like I said, a real egregious. It wasn't one of those Rashad Wild Goose pass interference plays that we normally watch, where he's just grabbing the guy all the way down the goddamn field. I just thought that was a physical play between him and Justin Jefferson. Both of those guys were getting physical. And I thought Ben St. Juste made a play. And I thought, he could have got away with that. But again, you can't be mad at it because there was contact shown on the film. But I thought Ben St. Juste played a damn good game all game. And it was something I even noted, like, pregame. Like, on our pregame show on Thursday, I was like, why does everyone think that Rashad Wild Goose is going to get the assignment against Justin Jefferson? Like, I know how we feel. Yeah, but I know how we feel about Jack Del Rio and the coaching staff as a whole. They've done shit that we've all questioned and said, this is crazy. But I thought it would have been ridiculous if Rashad Wild Goose would have been lined up, well over half of the snaps against Justin Jefferson in this game. It would have just been irresponsible. You just wouldn't put a guy like that on there. And for me, I was looking at it from Ben St. Juste's play slot corner before, when you were starting William Jackson and you were starting Kendall Fuller, Ben St. Juste was your slot corner. So Ben St. Juste has played all over the field, and I thought he showed the capability to do so. I thought his strength was on the outside, but he was a guy I really thought would draw the assignment for the most part against Justin Jefferson, and he did. Now, that first drive, Justin Jefferson just made plays, and I thought Ben St. Juste was in good coverage every time against Justin Jefferson on that first drive. When Justin Jefferson was really making that mark in his game, but there was no pressure against Kirk Cousins. And I group texted you all during that. We all group texted, and I said, there's no pressure on Kirk. He's way too comfortable. And after that drive, they seemed like Jack Del Rio looked like he adjusted, which is actually a positive because that's been something we've been getting on this coaching staff about. We've been harping on them that they're not adjusting. And they looked like they finally adjusted after that first drive, and they started putting pressure on Kirk. And they gave their offense a chance in this game. But I really thought Ben St. Juste had a solid game.
Yeah, let's go ahead and expound out on this defense, man. I think, as I was saying, AJ, I had some notes, and I think it really came down to, and it's crazy how this played out, right? So I took the notes, and my notes was, this is just off to jot it down so I don't forget. So this ain't necessarily what you said verbatim, but it's the sense. AJ said that they need to shut down at least one of JJ, DC, Dalvin Cook, and AT, Adam Thielen. Cook, and this is me writing it in the moment, Cook not making any noise for the first 3 quarters, Justin Jefferson quiet after quarter 1. And then all of a sudden, that fourth quarter hits. From an overall standpoint, I think, Dre, AJ, to your point, they started responding. And even to add on just to a Benjamin St. Juste thing, right after that pick 6 that was called back for a defensive penalty, they sent Benjamin St. Juste on a corner blitz. He gets home for a sack, a well-timed play, a well-executed play. He gets home, makes a play. But I think for the overall point of how the defense responded, it was at one point where this unit held Minnesota to, and this is like early, if not mid fourth quarter. First of all, let me block this person. I don't know who this is wilding out in the chat. But mid fourth quarter, like they had them 86 or 87 total yards in that second half. This was a defense that surprised me. I thought it was going to take 28 to win. And it surprised me in the sense of how they were able to get Minnesota off the field on third downs. I think Minnesota went, let me double check. Minnesota went 7 of 16 for third down. But again, at one point, they were, because I think a lot of those conversions, that 7 to 16 ended up actually being like in that fourth quarter. So like there was a lot of good that came by, but I think ultimately when you're talking about like a full totality worth of game for your defense, you will hope that, you know, that explosive, and it's hard to really blame them, man, because I think the bigger conversation is actually going to be on the other side of the football.
Exactly.
You do 20 points, like that's a dub. It should be a dub. That's below the league average, man. So I guess F it. If we don't have like a lot of conversations, again, it's a lot of good that came out on the defensive side of the football. Let's go ahead and just talk about the elephant in the room. I guess I did all that talking just to transition. That offense, man, 3 of 10 on third down, 0 for 1 on fourth down. There was pressure in Heineke's face for a good portion of the game, up until like that. Even with that Curtis Samuel interception, Curtis Samuel touchdown should have been intercepted. Throwing in the triple coverage like that, that was the one fucking ball that he always gives the defense. And somehow the referee saves him, and Curtis Samuel makes a hell of a play because it's still really good concentration on his end. This offense, from an overall standpoint, and how they're not able to get anything together and have anything clicking on whether it's the run game or the pass game for the first half, yet again, hurts them in the long run. And we didn't even talk about from coaching decision, specifically that challenge play. Like there are so many things going on that they find their ways to shoot themselves in the foot. Fellas, I'm gonna give you the floor, man. Those are my opening thoughts on the offense. You cannot, this is not sustainable. We have said that for weeks at a time, and it showed itself in the worst way, having a 10-point lead with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, to me, and it was like the inverse of the Colts game. Whereas the Colts game, you know, we in the Colts game, we were down 10, you know. Well, Heineke throws a big pick in the fourth quarter, and then you go down 9 points or 10, whatever you went down by in the fourth quarter, and you think the game's over. But then Heineke comes out and he leads the 2 drives. But then in this game, I mean, the offense is anemic as it has been, you know, pretty much all season. But in this game, you actually, in the second half, are kind of dominating, you know, them. And Heineke, he throws an interception in the fourth quarter while you're up in this game. You have a 7-point lead, 17-10 against the Vikings. Heineke throws out an interception in the fourth quarter, but now you do nothing after this. You gave Minnesota life. Minnesota gets life. They get a touchdown on that drive. They go down, you know, and they win the game. So this was like the inverse of the coach, but we can't do this on a weekly basis. Like, as you said, this is not sustainable. You can't go out there and make the mistakes you're making, on a weekly basis and just continue to just pull these games out. And we had this game. This wasn't a game where we were playing from behind. We were playing with a lead in this game in the second half, in the fourth quarter. You think you're going to win this game, but Heineke makes that inevitable mistake that he's been kind of making over the course of his starts through the past 3 weeks. But this time, you can't overcome it. You're playing a better team. And we actually talked about this. We talked about this on both sides. We said the defense will get a test this week. We said the defense are going to play against a really good offense this week. Yeah. And we actually kind of thought maybe that Heineke might play a little bit better this week because Minnesota's defense wasn't as good as Green Bay. They weren't as good as Indianapolis, or at least on paper. But you see now that offensive line they have on offense, it's just not cutting it. They need guys there. I mean, Minnesota bullied them all day long. And that's where this game was ultimately won because Heineke, I mean, he has his limitations. He really can't see over those big guys with his height and his stature. And Minnesota made it tough on him all day. Daniel Hunter, the other edge rusher.
Smith.
Zadarius Smith. Those guys were on Heineke's ass all day. Well, not even just Heineke's ass. They were whooping the tackles. I mean, Cornelius Lucas had a rough day. Every time I seen, looked up, Cornelius Lucas is getting beat off the break, and they were just getting the pressure that they needed to make Heineke uncomfortable in this game. And this is, kind of been a theme throughout the season. Even when Carson Wentz was here, I mean, Heineke is able to make a little bit more plays because he's more mobile and he's going to make quicker decisions, but he can't overcome his limitations. Like Heineke needs everything around him to kind of go perfectly for him to lead a successful offense consistently throughout the course of a game. And today, the offensive line just wasn't going to give it to him. I mean, even on the interception, he couldn't step up on that throw, dog. The pressure was attacking him instantly up the middle, and that's what hurts Heineke. Those physical limitations, when he has that pressure up the middle, is really hard for him to kind of overcome that. He had a lot of balls batted today, and Minnesota just made it tough for him. Like I said, they got bullied on the offensive line. He makes the critical mistake in the fourth quarter that you can't make, but this time he couldn't overcome it. Like I said, the last 2 weeks, you kind of overcame some of those big mistakes that Heineke was making. But again, as we've all been saying, this isn't sustainable. And today it bit us in the ass.
Yeah, man. Offensively, I tweeted, I'm so tired of seeing Scott Turner, bro. Like, I don't know what the fuck he was doing when he called on a 3rd and 9 a QB draw. Like you do not have Malik Willis, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Justin Fields. That is not your quarterback. 3rd and 9, like you actually have an opportunity to convert that if you pass the ball. Like there was no reason to call that. Like you're not in the red zone, nothing of that nature.
It's 4 down territory too.
Yeah, and it's like the offense is just inept. Like there's no flow, there's no real rhythm. I texted you guys privately, like, yo, they're not even utilizing Amari Rodgers in this offense. Then maybe 10, 15 minutes later, they do like a jet sweep, a tight end jet sweep, and he gains about 20-something yards. Yeah. And you never see him utilized again for the rest of the game. Like he's just out there blocking. And it's just ridiculous to me. Like this is also a former quarterback. Then after that 24-yard jet sweep, they run a double reverse flea flicker with Taylor Heineke. It's like, what the fuck am I watching? Like there's no real concise plan out there when they're doing these schemes and play calling. And it's just extremely frustrating. And I personally don't. I know some people might get mad, but I don't really think that they have I don't really believe they have a starting running back on this team, honestly. Before even Brian Robinson got hurt, I know what he does. He provides the short yardage or whatever. And, even before his situation, I just don't know if this team necessarily has a starting running back. And then the offensive line, man, they got bullied. They got dogged all game. Zadarius Smith went wild. Daniil Hunter went wild. But Zadarius Smith was all over them. And I think I heard the sideline reporter interview Ron Rivera, and she asked about Zadarius Smith in the pass rush. and Ron Rivera was saying, yeah, we're doing such a good job or something. Like, they're not, like, sometimes they're not rushing the quarterback. They're just standing back and batting the ball down. It was something of that nature.
Yeah.
But I was
Basically,
like,
that the pressure wasn't getting there, so
that was bullshit.
So they stopped and
like,
just started batting the ball.
That's a dumbass comment. Like, they're not using Taylor Heineke correctly or even attempting to. Like, you have to move him outside the pocket. Like, you can't just keep him in the pocket. Like, he's short.
I agree.
He already throws the ball high. Like, I mean, when you're out there missing 6'6" tight ends or receivers, like, you know how high that ball has to be for you to miss someone 6'6" that can jump. Like, that's just ridiculous. And it's like you have to get him outside of the pocket and utilize his ability to throw on the run, because that's where, in my opinion, that's where he makes his best plays.
How about more RPOs? Like, just run more RPOs with him.
Yeah, they could run RPOs. They ran one today.
He finally kept it.
He got that spin move. Yeah, he got that spin move. But like, they got angels in the outfield with that touchdown to Curtis Samuel, because that was a straight duck.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. When he threw it, I thought it. I on everything I love before the ref knocked dude down. I was like, this is a pick.
I seen the footwork.
I feel like, but this is my thing. Like, what
is a pick?
It's like, what was, I really don't, like, seriously, I don't get what Heineke was thinking on that play. Like, I genuinely, like, you know, like, you kind of have an assumption based on how a play goes down. Even if you watch the tape, you have an assumption on how the play goes down. They showed you the angle of what the receiver was looking like. He was covered the whole way. What the fuck was he thinking, bro? I don't know.
I don't know what he's seen either, but, you know, that's why I had to ask, like, who does he pray to? Because I need to start praying to them as well, because like something is not right, because it's just ridiculous. Like, that was a straight duck, and I've never even seen that in my time of watching football, of a defender running into a referee on a pick. Like, that was a pick.
Yeah.
Like, it had 3 chances at a pick, not just one player.
Yeah.
3 other players.
Yeah, it was 3.
Like, so it's just insane. I mean, I just don't understand what the offensive scheme is, and it's only but so much your defense can do to try to keep you within the game. If you're not moving the ball, man, it's hard. Like, they didn't really do anything with Antonio Gibson and involve him in the passing game. Terry McLaurin really wasn't involved in this game either. It's just like, I don't know what to expect from this offense. I just know the only thing I know what to expect is that it's going to look like shit. That's AJ, pretty much.
Let me ask you this, because I actually wanted to ask you to elaborate a bit on the starting running back thing, where you said that there's no starting running backs currently on this roster. But don't you kind of think that has a little bit to do with the offensive line? Because I notice a lot of plays when I'm watching those guys. The offensive line is just getting bullied. Like, there's guys, you know, you have to make a guy miss in the backfield. Seems like almost every time with the
just to gain 3 yards.
Yeah, just to gain 3 yards. And I feel like they're just not getting that push that they need to make these backs successful.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting bullied, but I just don't. I guess when I say that comment,
you're talking about an independent evaluation. Like, you're talking about the player in itself.
Yeah, I'm looking beyond even the offensive line. I just feel like I don't think the answer is there, especially if this regime is going to stay intact. They don't trust Antonio Gibson enough. We know that. J.D. McKissick might be out for the rest of the year. Who knows? Brian Robinson, they really use him weird. Like, they just make him go north and south, which is cool, but it's like defense is key in on that. And when Gibson is back there, you see everybody defender-wise going after that ball. Like, doesn't matter who's trying to tackle him, they're going after that ball when it comes to him being in the game. I don't really see a lot of stretch runs. I don't see a lot of zone runs in general in the scheme. And then, like I said, I really don't know how they plan to utilize any of their weapons. Like, I have to keep going back to week 1 against Jacksonville, because I feel like you introduced me to that. It's like when you date a chick, right? And in the first couple of weeks or month of y'all dating, you introduce her to a certain vibe, right? And then after you get comfortable, you just change up all that shit. That's exactly what I feel Scott Turner did with this offense week 1, because he introduced us to something that we hadn't seen really out of him, with the multi-back systems, the the halfback screens, the way he used Curtis Samuel in the
I don't even
Jets
remember the
game.
last time he sent Antonio Gibson on an angle route out of the or a corner route out of the backfield. Like, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it
that's
since
my
week 1.
point. And you would think that he would utilize this more with Taylor Heineke to help him get the ball out quicker, especially when he gets lost in the pocket and he doesn't necessarily like move all the time. Like sometimes he'll make a move, but a lot of times once it collapses a little bit, he's stuck. He's not really going nowhere else. You don't see any of that, and I just feel like we got bamboozled, like we got hoodwinked. Like you introduced us to this certain type of energy from the offense week 1, and we've never seen that replicated again, and we will never see it again.
Let's continue down this Heineke train. I'm gonna catch up with some of these comments right quick. I'll just read through them. Like I said, for I mean, everybody knows at this point, I would assume, but I always do the one sentence takeaways from today's games. And here we go. I'll read through some of them, not all of them. They always get a bunch of responses. Here we go. Get Scott Turner the fuck up out of here. Somebody else, my boy Montel. I hate Scott Turner. Echo says too fine of a line this team walks. Can't make errors and expect to win no matter how well our defense plays. Somebody else, time management lists the game with that challenge on 2nd and 1. Taylor Heineke is trash from somebody else. Somebody else says Zim. Matter of fact, Zim said, do I really have to endure another year of this staff? Amani, a predictable collapse. Predictable. That is a strong sentiment right there, Amani. Rudy or Parker, good teams make you pay. That's a fact. Let's see what else we got. Somebody says, I can see the growth in the defense. That is the most positive I've seen to this point. Somebody else says, play Sam Howell now because the other 2 QBs won't be here next year. The list goes on. Oh, one more. I'm glad I gave my tickets away. All right, there we go. All right, so we have several different reasons for why people are losing. And I think for all of what John, like I made this an emphasis, and this is gonna go back to the offense, but John Ridgway's penalty, unacceptable, right? Like we know that. You cannot afford to, and that's a coaching point, right? But that's also an awareness side for the player too. So it goes at the hands of the coaching staff and more importantly, the hands of the player. There's a lot of people, or there are several people who I've come across at this point, and I'm sure people will ease up as the week moves along, but there are people at this point ready to cut John Ridgway, ready to move on from him, cursing him out, all these things for that one opportunity. And my thing is, in understanding the totality of this game, sure, your last chance came down to making sure you don't have a personal foul that extends the drive. And that's where John Ridgway messed up. But the other thing is, it goes back to this offense and this coaching. We talked about Scott Turner already. We touched Taylor Heineke on the surface. And I think there's a larger conversation. I'm gonna save this my concern or my point with Taylor after this conversation. But this coaching staff, man, you have a bad challenge that hurts you, and in that second half, like that really held no bearing to you extending the drive or not. Like I think it was a second down that Taylor Heineke got that yardage, and you end up in a 3rd and 1 that I think Armani, it was the next play that Armani ends up converting. You lose a timeout for what? You try to risk, like I don't understand the purpose of your challenge. Like, was you in the moment? Did you get caught up in something that you weren't supposed to get caught up in? Like, and while I'm talking about that one challenge, that's one angle. I don't really have an issue with how they handle things in that 2-minute warning. And I don't know like to what degree like there were egregious errors throughout this game, but I will say that I'm talking about in terms of clock management specifically. We know Scott Turner had his ups and downs, but truthfully, like on my side, I really think it came down to the fact that Heineke is a larger discussion, and I think it came down to Heineke once again. But back to the point, that one challenge is indicative of some of the repeated flaws in Ron Rivera's ability to manage a game and understand situational awareness from a coaching perspective. That hurt him too, just as much as John Ridgeway and just as much as Taylor Heineke's ineptitude in the passing game.
I mean, yeah, we got to have a conversation about Ron Rivera's challenging at some point because
1-4.
Does he need to? I mean, yeah, does he?
No, we need to have a conversation. What the fuck does he do during the games? Because if you're not calling plays, your only duty is to manage the game, bro. Like if you're not gonna manage the game and you're just standing there with your arm folded all damn game, what are you really doing? And you also have a support team to help you, so it's even more dumbfounding.
Yeah, like you got to wonder if how engaged are you in these games? I mean, we as fans, we can sit here and question Ron Rivera and say, well, goddamn, like Ron, are you emotionally invested in this game? Because we see no emotion throughout the game. I mean, I think he finally showed a little bit towards the end of the game. I forget which play it was, but he seemed to be pretty pissed. But I mean, he should be pissed at these damn challenges that he does. I mean, his challenges or lack thereof are flat out just costing his team. I was watching this game earlier with my son. And when he challenged that little, what was it, 3rd and 1, I said, first off, why is he challenging that play? I said, because it didn't look conclusive that we had got the first down on that play. And 2, it's 3rd and 1. You have 2 chances. They were in a situation where if you don't get the first down on 3rd down, you can get it on 4th down. I mean, you can go run. You're going to go for it on 4th down at least. But it was no reason to burn a challenge and even take the chance that you could possibly lose that challenge, especially on a play that wasn't really conclusive. And it ends up biting the team in the ass. And we didn't think it was going to bite the team in the ass because no one thought the John Ridgeway was going to, honestly, I didn't even know that was a rule until I seen it today. Like that whole situation with John Ridgeway jumping over a center or put contact in the center. I didn't know that was a rule, but it's a rule. It's in the NFL, but it ended up costing Ron Rivera and his team. And you have to go back and look at that timeout because when you get the ball back, you have 15 seconds left, no timeouts. And, you could have got the ball back with probably a minute left or, even with the John Ridgeway situation, if you don't burn your challenge on a play that should never have been challenged. And I have to agree with AJ. What is Ron Rivera doing? Because like you said, Scott Turner calls plays on offense. Jack Del Rio, your defensive coordinator, he's handling the defense. So Ron, we expect Ron as a head coach to be the game manager or to be the final say on certain situations. And he's not handling that well. So at this point, you're just questioning everything with Ron. And you're saying, well, what the hell are we doing here? And like I said, he can go back and he has to take responsibility for that. And honestly, I don't even want to hear an excuse for that because it's inexcusable. It just, you have to be a better game manager as a head coach in this league. And Ron just looks like the game, and he's just proven to a lot of people that the game is passing him by with these game managing decisions that he makes.
Yeah, I think you all said it best. When I'm struggling to come up for words, I think the biggest thing AJ surmised it is just what does he do? I think the biggest glimpse into what he does is like, at the very least, get your challenges right, or like have them make sense, like have them be legitimate challenges. And for several instances this year, you see a person who took too long to pull out a challenge flag. And then the very next time he throws a challenge flag, admits in a post-game show, or maybe it was like during the week, like an interview, that he threw the flag emotionally because he didn't want to miss out on the opportunity to challenge a play. And then the other 2 after that, we saw what happened today. And then I forgot the other one, whether it was like last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't really remember. But to the point of a person who struggles to understand the effectiveness in using challenges, but also understanding the consequences behind it if you lose. And ultimately a situation where you could have had 2 timeouts prior to the Ridgeway turnover, personal penalty. You could have had 2 timeouts with the ball left with like a minute 30, minute 40 something on the clock. And now you're in a situation where you have to use 1 timeout. You get the ball back with 16 seconds left. If you had 2 timeouts still at that point, you have an opportunity have like 50 seconds on the clock, maybe 45 seconds on the clock, maybe. And you're in a situation where you're now you have a small chance because Antonio Gibson gets the ball damn near the midfield. And you have enough time to probably spike it. And who knows where that takes you because it's 15 seconds on the clock. So who knows where that takes you. But the point is, Like this clock management gets in his way. And then ultimately, it's another reason for why you lose. And I guess the last thing, if you all have any final thoughts on Coach Rivera, that's one thing y'all can go ahead and finish that one. But my last thing is actually on Heineke, fellas. We said this throughout the week. We have preached this throughout the 3-game winning streak. This is not just Heineke, but now he's here and now he's starting. So this is a bigger picture thing. The way the offense is playing is not sustainable. We understand that. But Heineke going, 15 for 28, 149 yards. Really should have been 1 touchdown, 2 picks. And who knows if they're even in position to throw that second touchdown if things didn't go the way they did. But 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 15 completions. This is a person who wasn't in overthrows to Logan Thomas twice. I think he had 3 targets. You had 1 overthrow that led to an interception. You had another overthrow where you have a 6-foot receiver who runs a 5.6 40 right now. How do you overthrow him on the sideline? And several other, a couple other errant throws, I'll say at the very least. Heineke, when you play the better teams, you have to be much better. Philadelphia's on the road next. You have a decent defense, a defense that's continuing to improve on that side of the ball. Dallas is around the corner as well. For a team that's 4-5, and for people who had an idea of what this team could be if they can continue to establish and grow, especially on the defense side of football, and you're just hoping that offense comes along. This is what happens when you play a better team. Yes, the Vikings were winnable. They were beatable. We said that throughout this week. But when the quality of opponent improves, you have to get better and better with those opponents. You have to match your opponent. And I don't think we saw that from Heineke as well. And yes, we're talking about a backup here, but I think it's important if we're talking about, the remainder of this season and what could be for a team that was on a 3-game win streak.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Ron Rivera, my thing is with the quarterback position, it's like if you feel that Sam Howell can't do the same or better, then we have a coaching problem. We have a coaching staff that is not trying to prepare its players to the fullest ability to be prepared to play. Because you're not getting nothing out of Taylor Heineke. Like, going into halftime, he had 48 passing yards. Like, yeah. I mean, one of us could go on the fucking field.
This ain't the first time he did it.
Given moment and just throw the passes that he's doing and get 48 yards or more. So, I mean, it's not like he's doing anything special that we're raving about. Seeing some media representative say, yeah, he's balling. What the fuck is balling? Like, if you think he's balling, like, that's how you know people don't watch games. Like, they just see these little highlight clips, these Chris Berman moments, and think that motherfuckers is doing well, but they really not. He's not doing anything that would show you any promise that this offense can get better. And he's kind of in full control of that, aside from Scott Turner and the plays that he's calling. But, the one thing I will say about Ron Rivera and company, I'm really intrigued about with the rest of this playing out now that we know that there is some interest from Daniel Snyder to sell this team. And I'm not even going to focus on the minority aspect, but it's definitely majority. How do you who coaches this staff next year? Because I don't believe that he can fire anybody, and he plans to sell the team in March. So that is what is very, intriguing to me, because it looks like Ron Rivera will be back next year, and he will be at the helm with his crew of drafting another quarterback, or not drafting another quarterback. Well, being in position to figure out this quarterback situation. And even for Ron and company, they got to know that if this team does sell, they're not going to be back next year. So what happens there? Does he resign? Like, that's what's really intriguing me. Like, does he resign because he knows that this team is going up for sale and the next ownership group is not going to bring his ass back at all?
I'm about to say, next year is his last year if he stays.
Yeah, because that's really my concern. That's why I'm hoping that this process, if the Snyders are going to sell, that it gets expedited and it doesn't have to wait until March, because that affects this team that we do coverage on and that we root for next year. Like, they're not going to be able to do a lot of things if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I know AJ's, talking down the line future, and that's obviously going to be. I mean, I don't know where to even begin on that, like you said, because we don't know what happens. I saw the reports with Jay Glazer and all of those guys from on Fox saying that this will be a full sale, but the timeline scared me a little bit about the whole March thing. But I mean, getting back to Ron Rivera and his staff, like I said, it's just, even with Scott Turner, you just wonder what Taylor Heineke is a guy. Now, we don't expect much out of him. I always say whatever you get out of Taylor Heineke is going to be a bonus, backup quarterback, severe limitations. But even with all that said, I feel like they're still forcing a game plan on him that just doesn't suit him. And you kind of look at it when you watch the last 3 games of Taylor Heineke has started. He doesn't seem to get off until there's no pressure and he doesn't have to think as much, and they aren't playing in this like little controlled ball control, whatever kind of offense that Scott Turner wants to run. Turner to me just doesn't seem like he understands his players. What gets them going early or what gets them going best. Like everything just kind of seems random. Like I'm a big Rick and Morty fan. It was one of my favorite episodes. And one of those episodes, Rick creates this machine called Randotron, where the Randotron, it just throws everything off. He does nothing consistently, and that's Scott Turner's offense in a nutshell. It's just Randotron. Yes. He's just going out there. He's calling random plays. He's not setting up anything. It doesn't look like he's setting up anything for future success throughout the game, and that's what bothers me about the game. Like I said, with that whole flea flicker situation, why are we calling that right there?
And then back to back, you get the sweep for your tight end, and then right after that, you said this is a perfect time for a double flea flicker.
Exactly. Offense is moving. You've been moving the ball. And you seem like you found some kind of rhythm. And here goes Scott Turner saying, "Oh well, fuck it, let's throw in a flea flicker." I don't know why we're doing this.
We got time.
We're gonna.
We got time. We can do
because
it.
we can. It's first down. Why not? And then the whole that critical play, that 4th and 1 rollout play where they roll out and they're throwing to Terry McLaurin. I do think that's a ball that Terry probably normally catches. However, just run a simple under center play, run the ball, go up the middle, get the first down. No, nothing complicated. Just go up there and get the first down. Instead, we're running a bootleg, and funny thing is we've been wanting bootlegs all game. You want to get Heineke out of the pocket. You want to run these bootlegs, but we wait till 4th and 1s to do it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, are you putting these players in the best situations to make plays? And, you just look at the coaching staff. Now I have to give Jack Del Rio his kudos because, I mean, again, they gave the offense a chance to win the game. You hold the Vikings to 20 points. And for most of the game, the Vikings weren't even close to 20 points. I mean, we were dominating the Vikings in that second half. I thought the defense was playing really good up until that 4th quarter. But, I mean, you throw an interception and give the team a possession in the red zone. The next play, they scored their 17-point. But again, you can't really fault the defense too much. The defense, they gave the offense a chance in this game. And the offense is just too anemic, too inconsistent, and they do nothing that's sustainable to win ball games. They're being held, or they're getting lucky, or they're just happy that they have a defense that's keeping them in games. So I have to give Jack Del Rio his kudos, but Scott Turner and Ron Rivera for their jobs, it's just they're holding this team down, and they're holding them back, in my opinion.
So here's the thing too, actually. And this is probably gonna suck for everybody that's here, but I think this is probably the other truth that we're probably not gonna want to accept. Washington's 4-5, right, fellas? You're not too far out from playoffs.
Oh, cut it out.
Hey, no, listen. Here's what's about to be a possibility that people don't want to think about right now. If we were 9 games, if we were 2-7 or 3-6, how would be in play? But who's really in play right now? Instead of Taylor Heineke, if he keeps underperforming the way he is, it's the person that they keep. That they paid $28 million for this year. And they said, look, you ain't have a good first 6 games, but we're going to bring you back. And we're going to make sure that you play the last X amount of games when you're healthy, because you give us the best chance to win Heineke held it down for you, but you give us the best chance to win from an offensive production standpoint. So we're gonna rock with you, and that's probably something that while we're in our head have moved on from Carson Wentz, the coaches have not.
Is Wentz eligible to speak?
I don't know. That's a
nah.
What's the IR rules? Is it 3 or 4 games?
It's 4.
It's 4.
So he's on the.
He's not
okay.
So he might come back Texans game, but I try not to think about that because it just feeds into the stupidity of this coaching staff and things overall. Because it's like you already know what you got. You feel me? Like, so if you bring in Carson Wentz, it's not gonna get any better. It's just gonna get worse. And it kind of goes back to other personnel moves. Like you knew what you had in William Jackson last year after he played 1 year in your system. Instead of trying to trade him, in the offseason, you waited until in the season when he put more film on tape that was bad, and you ended up with a 7th round pick for 2025, like 2025. So, yeah, I mean, it. Like I said, it just feeds into the fact that this coaching staff is stupid. That they would even consider putting Carson Wentz back, and that's how you lose your locker room. That's really all I'm concerned about, man. Like, I understand that people think that, yeah, they rock with Taylor Heineke, but they also know he's not the best quarterback. They know that he'll go out there and make some plays, but can you imagine how that sideline felt when that ball went up and they seen 3 defenders back there and Curtis Samuel of all people? They're like, man, what the fuck is this, bro?
Nah, they said touchdown.
And then it turned into touchdown. It's like magic. And it's like, damn. But
won't he do it?
Yeah. Everything else is like it's horrible. They don't play with more tempo, nothing. It's just scary being a fan. That's why I think the fan base, not alone with the fact that they feel like they've been going through misery for so long under Snyder, but just like you don't really have optimism with this current staff. So you're hoping that, getting rid of this ownership and bringing in a new group will bring in a new injection of blood for the team, not just the coaching staff, but the new, maybe a new name, stadium, all of those things. And right now, the scary thought is in 2 weeks we're going to be watching Carson Wentz playing again. Because I definitely seen film of him throwing on the field today.
Yeah, I saw that too. The shit.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time, man, and they probably gave that man full confidence behind the scenes. Hey, you're our guy, Ron. You're here. You're wanted here. I didn't lie to the media, man. This is definitely your job. So get that finger healthy, man. You're getting back on the field. I'm telling you.
Washington don't go on by until like mid-December.
Yeah, like week 14 or some shit. But I did want to touch on the quarterback situation a bit, and that Sam Howell. I know some fans really want to see him out there right now, but honestly, I wouldn't put Sam Howell out there right now. And normally, I wouldn't say that because he's a 5th round pick, and you're not really worried about the 5th round pick not being your future or hurting them for whatever the case may be. You can throw a 5th round pick out there. My issue is that offensive line isn't protecting anybody right now. Like, I mean, they were an issue with Wentz because Wentz definitely holds onto the ball too long and he doesn't have the athleticism he once had. But you even see Heineke, the guy with the athleticism, a guy usually able to maneuver and get out of the pocket. He can't even do nothing much with this offensive line. I mean, guys, are that offensive line's been bullied. So I can only imagine Sam Howell, a rookie, just going out there, right now with the way that offensive line is playing, and it just may ruin any confidence he has in this league right now if he has to go play behind those guys.
Fellas, 4-5 Monday Night Football next week against the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, man. I think this is the moment where you say it's put up or shut up. Like look, AJ, before AJ throws a fit, we know where this team is. But I think for anybody and everybody who was invested in this team after the 3-game win streak, and understanding that you had a solid chance, given that you were up 10 points in the 4th quarter against the Minnesota Vikings, to make this a 4-game win streak. This upcoming Monday night game is a huge game. And I'm not saying it's a must win because you're going up against a top 3 team in the league. Like, it is what it is. But if you go out there and you lay an egg, this is probably a reminder that you're back in that same boat that you were before this win streak started. These are quality teams that you're playing against: the Vikings, the Philadelphia Eagles. Who's after the Eagles?
Texans.
All right, fuck them. But the Vikings and the Eagles, you can't go out there on Monday Night Football and say, "Hey man, I just want to get my game checked." Like, you better show up. And for Taylor Heineke's sake, he has to be the one that comes out on fire. You cannot afford to go 3 of 10 on third downs. You cannot afford to go a first half where you're 1 of 7 on third down or 1 of 6. So, fellas, that's the last thing I got to say. You can't afford to look the same against the Philadelphia Eagles next week, because it ain't going to just be one quarter where they put up 24 points. Like, that's not going to happen. And that was food. They're going to put up points, but they ain't going. It's not going to take them. It's not going to be just one quarter. They're going to score. So we better wake up, bro. That's the last thing I got to say.
And I guess I'll go real quick in on this one. First off, this Monday night game against the Eagles, it's a big game for a lot of reasons. And it's something that AJ, he touched on, and we all been touching on with the whole ownership thing up into debate. That's going to be talked about all week this week, because you're going to be on ESPN. When this game does happen on Monday, the talking point on ESPN is going to be about the sale of the franchise. You're going to probably see even more reports on who's going to put more bids up. So with that comes added attention and added pressure, not just on, the fan base, looking towards the sale or everything, but this is a big game for Ron Rivera and his staff, because obviously the people who are going to be prospective buyers and owning this team, all eyes are going to be on this franchise on that Monday night when you play against the Eagles. And prospective owners may be looking at, is Ron Rivera a guy I want to keep on for a year or two when I buy this franchise or something? So if you go out there and lay an egg against Ron Rivera, you might be as good as done. I think this might be the only national TV game you have left on the schedule at this point against the Eagles. So and this is perception. I mean, owners, especially some of these owners, these guys are going to want to, more times than not, they're going to want to come in with their own guys, or they're going to want to bring guys in. But depending on when this sale happens, you could be looking at March, where it's going to be too late to fire Ron Rivera. But even still, they're going to be looking at, games like this, these national television games, all eyes on you. And they're going to be saying, hey, if you're laying eggs out there, they may have that perception coming in when they buy this team. That's a guy I'm getting rid of off jump, So that is big from that standpoint. But as far as it relates to the season, it's definitely big. I mean, for me, I don't know if I want to say must win, and I'm not going to say that yet, just because of how bad the NFC is. I mean, the NFC is really bad right now, to the point where, you're still in it right now. If you lose this game, you may have the last wild card team in NFC get in with 8 wins. I mean, that's just how bad this conference is at the bottom right now. I mean, it's just not much. I mean, it's just a lot of those mediocre to average teams going on. So, but even still, you don't want to lay an egg regardless. I mean, as it stands with the owners, you want to still keep this team. You want to give this team some kind of hope to say, hey, we can make some kind of push, or we can make some kind of run. So Ron has to have those guys ready. And to me, as a fan, I'm not sure I have that confidence that he's going to come in having these guys ready, because we just haven't seen it. Like, a lot of these games, they start off slow. The games they do win is usually some miraculous comeback or something miraculous that happens in the fourth quarter. So I just don't have the confidence that they're going to come out ready to play, but I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to see Ron have his team ready. But right now, I just don't know if I see it, but he has to. He has to make these guys believe, and they have to come out firing from all cylinders against the Eagles.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was a Monday night game, but that's crazy, because Philly played Thursday, so they don't play again until next Monday. You know what I mean? Days off that is for a team that's 8-0. Like, that's a lot of time. I don't believe they have any chance of winning that game. As far as the perception that will come on TV and during the week, media coverage wise, of course, it's just been amplified every single day, even more. Like, the first day, it was big news that the team was up for sale in some capacity, minority or majority. as we got closer to Sunday, more reports have leaned into the partnership of Jay-Z and Jeff Bezos buying the team in majority. Now we have a higher number that's being projected out there of $7 billion. It's just going to be amplified even more this week. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe Daniel Snyder goes out with a bang and agrees to some type of terms with a partnership group by Monday next week. I mean, the way the news is going and the people that are being projected out there as bids, and some of them even providing confirmations. I think the only two people that have not provided exact confirmations have been Jay-Z and Bezos. But like, people have spoken directly to the Brian Allens, the Joshua Harris, and another entity that was trying to buy the Broncos and came in second place. Like, they've all confirmed directly with these people. Like, I think maybe Daniel Snyder goes out with a bang, and maybe Monday, that's his last game as possibly the owner.
AJ really he hoping for the best, bro. I tell you.
I mean, I feel like the more news you keep hearing about it, Daniel Snyder's going to come to agreement with some type of terms eventually, because it's just getting amplified even more. It went from being a projected $5 billion to $6 billion to now $7 billion. We're hearing even more of the partnership of Jeff Bezos and Jay-Z. There's something going on behind the scenes that is going to break later on this week and probably closer to next Monday. It has to be.
Well, I'll put it this way. I hope for the best, especially in this situation. And I always say, especially with the business side of things, I always, defer to you with this shit. But personally, I don't see it. Personally, I think we're gonna. I mean, there's always gonna be news that trickles out of this stuff, but I think this is probably something where I can see something happening before a year's end. But I don't know, man. It's just a little. It's like Dan is going to take his time because he want to make sure that he gets the money that he wants. And if he thinks he can get that number from somebody, he's going to make sure that number, meets his that buyer meets his mark, or at least comes very like 98% close, whatever it is. And who knows, when that time will come. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Fellas, oh Lord, Merle said they may not be the Texans. That's not a valid. I mean, that's not a incorrect.
It's not out of reach.
Out of reach. I don't know why I couldn't say what. Yeah, it's not out of reach. Like they look decent against Philly, man, especially that run game. And if that's something they commit to, and Davis Mills, how you got a long ass neck and can't see the field properly, bro? You should be able to see every single thing that's going on all three levels.
That's a wild comment. That boy.
That is that.
Osweiler.
That is
that
look
6'8" long neck and couldn't throw the ball for shit over the offensive line. That
no,
makes sense.
Bruh.
He's dollar menu Peyton Manning.
Dollar menu Peyton, man. Hey, shout out to you, David, or Davis, whatever the hell your name is, man. We're gonna see you in a couple of weeks, fellas. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening, man. Enjoy the rest of y'all games. Congratulations to you, Dre. Never mind the fact that you sunned me with that Jacksonville comment, but I'm gonna let it go. Nah, you said it anyway. You said it anyway.
We got some full games. It's still. I hope you bet on these games, man.
I got the Cardinals -2.5, and shit ain't looking too good right now.
I got the Steelers.
Oh no, they got the first down.
I got the Cardinals. Yeah, I got the Cardinals too.
Yeah, so they just got the first down. So still alive on this drive. We're gonna see what's up. And I'll probably have some change on the Sunday night game and Monday night game.
Before we get off, tell Merle that Robert Smith is not partnering with Dan Snyder. Robert Smith got too much money to partner with Dan Snyder.
Ain't nobody with money partnering with Dan Snyder.
No,
it's a
not with those investigations.
Y'all gotta throw that out y'all head. Impossible.
Yeah, it's not happening.
It's not like he's Robert Kraft or some billionaire with a lot of friends, and if he had a lot of friends, he wouldn't even had to go to BOA. Like, he would have just been able to pick up the phone and call him and say, "Hey man, I need some influx of cash. Can you help me out?" It wouldn't happen. It's majority, bro. Like
there it is, fellas. Enjoy the rest of y'all evening. Everybody, Dre, AJ, they'll be back Tuesday night as we gear up for that goddamn Monday night game between the Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll be back tomorrow morning for the Commanders morning show, and we'll chop it up some more. Then y'all take care, enjoy y'all evening, all that good stuff. We out of here. Peace.